Hello everyone, how are you all doing? Okay, so today is in our first informal Q&A session, and the purpose of these sessions are specifically to give you added training per se, and also just our experience, like having been in the program for several semesters, and then also just giving some, I guess, training in a sense on how to succeed in the program. So I'll just introduce myself. I'm Leon, I'm 19 years old and I'm from South Africa, and I am one of the coordinators for Academy. Ankit, do you want to unmute yourself and introduce?
Yes. Hello everyone, I'm Ankit from Nepal. I'm 19 years old and I'm a coaching manager.
Perfect, thank you. Do you want to pass it on to someone else? I want to see if we can get some introductions from our students. Somebody has their hand raised. Do you want to introduce yourself, or do you have a question?
I want to introduce myself. My name is Hadi Ahmed. I'm 16 years old and from Egypt, and I'm a rising junior to grade 11 in STEM schools, and I'm very excited for being in this program.
Awesome, I'm really happy to hear that. Thank you for introducing yourself. Does anybody else feel up to introducing themselves? If you feel too shy, you can also put it in the chat. But I'd love for everybody to let us know who you are. And also one thing I do just want to make a note of is, if you can, turn on your cameras, because this is also good practice when you're having team meetings of how to run them. Andrew, I think you were going to introduce yourself.
My name is Andrew and I'm from Taiwan. I'm 16 years old and I'm super excited for X Culture. Nice to meet everybody.
Thank you for turning on your camera. Anybody else? And I promise we don't bite. This is a very loving and open community. Really, we just want the best for you, so don't feel shy. I know it's scary. It's like these random people, like, just now suddenly have to communicate with them. I know it's weird. And also being a shy person, I know it's pretty scary, so I get it. But hopefully as the weeks go by, it gets easier. So I'll ask one more time. Anybody wants to introduce himself? No? Okay, no stress. Well, maybe if you can put it in the chat where you're from, maybe that's a good start. And in the meantime, does anybody have any questions? We have a presentation prepared, but I just want to see, does anybody have any questions in regards to training material, practical phase, theoretical phase, anything X-Culture related? If there's no questions, that means that you're all doing amazing and you know absolutely everything you should be doing. So that's a good thing, I guess. So Ankit, do you want to start on the presentation? Or wait, let me see, because Ava's meant to join us. Let me have a look where she is. Okay, I think Ankit, let's go for it, because Ava will most probably be late. Will you cover her first part and I'll cover the procrastination part?
Okay, sure.
Okay, perfect. And as we go along, as we say, these are just tips and advice on how to succeed in X Culture. And then if you have any questions afterwards, feel free to ask. I'm going to share my screen in the meantime. And thank you for putting your countries in the chat. It's really cool to see where everybody is from. Okay, and while you're putting your countries, now that you've done that, why don't you put a hobby? What is a hobby that you do? Okay, I would say one of my hobbies is reading. It's probably a good hobby of mine. And Kit, what is your hobby?
It will be watching random videos on YouTube.
Fair enough. Andrew, I'm going to pick on you because you seem to be the bravest at the moment. What is your hobby?
I like looking at memes. I just went to play basketball just now. I also started working out.
Nice. those are good hobbies. Yes, go for it. What is your hobby?
My hobbies is going to swimming and cooking.
Oh, that's really cool. You'll have to do one of our cooking classes then. I'm throwing you there in the deep end, but I would love to see what you cook up. Anybody else? Either put it in the chat or feel free to unmute yourself before we get started. Okay, we have a reader. That is really cool. And learning, very good one as well. It seems like we have quite a few people who like working out. I think we're gonna have to do like a workout session or something. I don't know how that's gonna work, but maybe we can try. Who knows? Okay, so while everybody's putting in their hobbies in the chat, let us get started. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Okay, so two things that I think lots of people, including myself, struggle with is time management and procrastination. They both need to be handled fairly well, otherwise they can really get in the way of our work and life in general. So these are just some tips, both generally how to improve and manage them correctly, as well as what we picked up from X-Culture. So to get started with, we have time management. Ankit, will you take this slide?
Yes, sir. So the time management, why is it important? We all live in a time. We need to manage it properly. Like we have agriculture work, we have our school work, and also the time for ourselves. Like you have all the hobbies like reading books, workout, cooking. So you need to separate time for that and for the agriculture, everything. So why time management is important? A better work quality. If you manage your time properly, you will have enough time to do all the tasks required. So due to enough time, you will give your 100% and develop a better work. You will gain self-confidence as everything will be completed on time. You feel that you have done great, which will boost your confidence. Greater focus, increase productivity, less procrastination. You will start to work on time and postponing the things. You will stop doing it. The less stress, better work-life balance, time for other things like for your hobbies or the time for your family, friends, and you will gain more energy. So managing the time perfectly is very important.
Perfect, thank you. Yeah, I think we can all agree that time management is really important to function as a human. Okay, so how can we be more effective in our time management? And obviously this varies for each person depending on your life and your schedule, etc. But these are some general things that everybody I think can agree on, and research has also supported this, etc. So firstly is know where you're spending your time. If you are spending 30, okay, let's not go with 30 hours. If you're spending 5 hours maybe doing studying or homework, maybe you should be being more effective in that. Or maybe if you're like me and you read for like 3 hours in a day, kind of takes away quite a bit of like a good decent of time that I could be working, etc. So it's all about finding that balance, but then also just knowing what takes up most of your time and where do you need to be putting your priorities, etc. Secondly is sticking to a daily schedule. Now, this is not always possible, so it is important to be flexible because life has lots of surprises. But to be able to have a fairly decent and structured schedule that you follow every day can really help in being effective because, again, you know where you're spending your time and you know kind of what to expect within your day. Then we have create realistic timelines. So I'm kind of a person where I think a lot of people in X-Culture can relate to this. I'll be like, I will finish like basically a week's work of, wait, what? a week's worth of work. There we go, in like a day. That's not really possible and it's not really like realistic. So don't do that. Rather give yourself proper deadlines and timelines to complete things, and also with that time limit. So know your own limits and how much time you actually need to get something done, and then stick to those limits. Next we have give your undivided attention. If you struggle with short attention like focus like me, this is a hard one. I will literally do something for like half an hour and then I will be scrolling through Instagram. Not great. Don't do that. So rather put your phone away, get rid of any distractions and just get to work and focus purely on what you have set out to do. Next, we have prioritize your tasks. Now, some things are more important than the others, and it is important to get those done first and make sure you give them your very best. And other things maybe then you can do in the in-between time that you have, etc. But just know where your priorities lie. Then we have learning to say no. This is one I have struggled with a lot, and I feel like you most probably will as well, and maybe already do. But being able to say no to extra work or being able to say to added tasks, etc., is really important, especially for like literally just your self well-being. And that's not like saying no to absolutely everything, but knowing your limits and know when to say no. Then we have avoid multitasking. This, I feel like it seems like it should take up less time, but because your focus is very divided, it is hard to get something done in.
And I have heard it, and Malak has another.
And okay, sorry. If you do have questions, feel free to just raise your hand and then we can answer them from there. But yeah, so avoid multitasking. It doesn't actually save time. It ends up taking way more time than it should. And then lastly, keep things organized. Once you have a plan of action and it's organized, it's easier to follow through with things instead of kind of running all around trying to figure out what you were doing. And then lastly, just one important thing I want to mention is when you feel like you're procrastinating, or that you just don't want to do something, start with the hardest task first, because that kind of breaks the barrier and you get straight into it. However, if you're feeling overwhelmed, rather start with the easier tasks first, because that gets you in the feel, and it's like usually the easier tasks, there's quite a lot of them and they're smaller, so you can get them done faster, and then suddenly you realize there actually isn't that much you have to worry about and you can have a breath. So those are some things on how to be more effective. Anket, will you tell us the X Culture Touch, please?
Yes, yeah. So a team consists of students from different countries, and being from different countries, definitely there will be time zone differences. So take note of time zone differences and establish common working hour, which does not affect the schedule of other teammates or school or their sleeping hours, etc. Prioritize tasks based on deadline and importance. All the X-culture work aren't equally important. So be capable enough to distinguish between very important, important, and less important tasks and work on them accordingly. Create a detail that include X-culture, schoolwork, and personal time so that you give a time for everything equally or which are important. Set clear deadlines for team tasks so everyone is on the same page. Have a specific deadline and make it little bit strict so that everyone is on the same page, the same area. In X-culture, sometimes you will get unexpected tasks or you may get into any kind of emergency. So include a time buffer in your schedule so there won't be any miss. Have the courage to say no to tasks you can't complete or do. Like saying yes all the time is not a great thing. So try to learn to say no to the thing which you can't be able to do. Reward yourself with breaks to recharge for work, or you can reward yourself with chocolates or any other thing to boost your confidence and motivate yourself. Plan ahead and work as a team. There is a proverb, if you want to go fast, go alone, and if you want to go farther, go as a team. So keep this in mind and work strongly as a team, as this is very important while working in global virtual team. Yeah.
You are muted, Leon.
You're muted.
It's okay.
Sorry. Okay. I did not remember muting myself. Okay, that is interesting. As I was saying, before we go on to procrastination, is there anything that anybody wants to ask in relation to time management, or maybe somebody has a tip that they've picked up along the way that they would like to share with us? Feel free to unmute yourself, raise your hand, or put it in the chat. Okay, I think we have a question. Let me just read it. Ava, do you want to reply to this one that's in the chat?
Okay.
And maybe before you
I
do,
just-
can you just introduce yourself?
Yes, I can. Okay, so hello everyone. My name is Eva Famika. I was a bit late today because of my bus, so sorry for this. I am 17. I'm a coaching manager, and it's been like over 2 years that I'm in Xculture. And yeah. And regarding the question, okay, if we take the context of Xculture, you definitely need to finish the task. And sometimes, in some cases, sorry, we allow extensions, but don't take this for granted. Like, we only allow them like in some specific cases when there are like emergencies and things like that. So Ezra, I hope I'm not mispronouncing your name. Yes, I recommend you to finish the task and contact your teammate. Let people who need to be aware of the situation know what is happening, so they can like modify their schedule if needed and bring you the help you may need as well. And yeah, so don't let this task just and move to another one. Finish this one and then go to the next one.
Yeah, and just to add on to that it's actually a nice link now to procrastination that's coming up. But a very important thing that like how to overcome procrastination is actually finishing a task. It's really easy to just like leave a task and just not finish it. But if it's an important task, make sure you finish it even if it goes over time. And this is one thing with like effective time management, that it's not a thing of getting something done as fast as you can and moving on to the next. It's about giving your absolute best and getting the best quality possible, and like in a very effective time, basically, in very simple terms. But it also depends on how important the task is. If it's like a really kind of irrelevant task that can maybe wait a few hours, then maybe go on to another more important task. But if it is important, then finish it. I really do suggest that. And I was going to say something else, and it was quite important, but I can't remember what I was going to say. Never mind, maybe it was not important. Okay, does anybody else have any questions or anything? Ooh, we have a quote. That is a really, really good one. Thank you so much for sharing that. Yeah, that is very powerful, actually. Do we have anything else anybody wants to share or ask? No? Okay, then let's go on to procrastination. I think we all know this. I know this one very well, sadly. Ava, I hand it over to you.
Okay, so there is a reason why we procrastinate, and this is, I mean, personally, I don't know a single person who has never procrastinated in his life. So I think that's something common for all humans at some point. But there are actually reasons why we do procrastinate at some point. The main reason is because we know that the task we are about to do is going to be hard. It will take us a lot of effort, of time, and it doesn't motivate you when you know this. Or the second option is that the second option is that you're not familiar with what you're about to do, so you don't really know where to start. You know, I'm sure you all have already faced this situation. You're about to start a task, but you clearly don't know where to start. So this is, I would say, normal to be fear, like to fear this kind of things, and this is normal that sometimes procrastination happens, but the risk is to not depend on it and actually go on the other way of procrastination. Yeah, so how to actually avoid procrastination? Well, as Leon said, start by the small tasks. This is very like easy to get on work, and it will be more satisfying for you. Yeah, something. Yeah.
Satisfactory. There we go. I got it.
Okay, thank you. Satisfactory to know that you have finished a task. So you know you have this sort of dopamine coming to you, and you want to like continue and do like other things. So this helps you to get into the harder one. Yeah. Okay, I'm just going over the slide to see if I. Okay, so why do we need to actually overcome procrastination? If you still know that you have a task that need to be done and you keep it like you keep procrastinating it, you will have this uncomfortable feeling. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. Like, you know that you have to do something, but you are like sort of ignoring it. So actually trying to go against procrastination, starting this task will help you to feel much better, much confident in the work you do, and also motivates you to continue like providing efforts in the program. And there is a really good note at the end, like here, when you procrastinate a task, you usually, I mean, that's what happened for me, and I'm sure a lot can relate to this. You start to do something else instead to comfort you, to tell yourself, okay, I'm maybe not doing this task, but I'm doing something else at least. I'm occupied. And sometimes we just find excuses to not do the task because we think, okay, no, I'm actually busy with this. I'm going to do the task later. But that's not a good idea and neither a good way to proceed.
Perfect. Thank you.
Okay. Do you want to add something else, Leon?
I don't think so. I think
Ankit?
Slides were covered. Unless, Ankit, do you have anything specific on the slide you want to add?
No, everything was covered.
Perfect. One thing while we move on to the next, like, what do you call it, slides? Yes. I'd be very interested to know what everybody procrastinates on the most. Maybe you can put it in the chat. I would be very interested to see where the good old procrastination strikes its best. In the meantime, I will go over why, or rather how, to be more effective and overcoming procrastination. And oh gosh, my computer did not overheat. Sorry, just give me 1 second. Okay, I think it's going to survive. Yes, yes, it is. Okay. So firstly, it is important to recognize why you're procrastinating. And this is also why I asked you the question is, where do you procrastinate the most? Because it is very important to actually figure out what tasks maybe do cause you to like shy away from them. Is it because you just really don't enjoy them? Or is it like, as Ava mentioned in the previous slide, do you maybe feel insecure or overwhelmed when facing this task? And some can just be really overwhelming because you actually have no idea what you're doing. That happens often to me. I'm sitting there and I'm like, I don't know what I'm meant to do. I will just go and do something I know how to do and I'm comfortable with it. I mean, it's a logical choice, isn't it? Like, I don't blame you, it really is. That's not always the best choice. So let's try and keep away from that. And then also, as like kind of as I just mentioned, is know why you're procrastinating. Those are two really good questions to sort of like almost pull out and figure out why you're doing it and how you can stop it. So then, why is my computer just acting so weirdly? Okay. Okay, so next is be able to forgive yourself for procrastinating, because it's not necessarily always your fault. It's not something you asked to do. I don't think you were like, oh my gosh, I want to procrastinate. Nobody's done that. So be kind with yourself and be forgiving, because it's not always in your control, but you do have steps of how to overcome it. So do make sure to do that. Commit yourself to a task and follow through with it, complete it 100%. It also, because in that way it makes it less overwhelming, because now it's one task done. And also have the mindset of focusing on doing it rather than avoiding it, because it takes energy to avoid something, right? Because it's always there in the back of your mind, and you're like, I know I need to do it, but I really don't want to, and I don't know really how to, and it takes up energy, and you could be using that energy to just do the task and it'll be done. This is also kind of now linking back to how Ankit was mentioning for how to like be more effective in time management, is give yourself a reward. So it could be like, okay, if I finish 3 tasks effectively, I will then go and read my favorite book, or I will watch a show, or I'll eat chocolate, or whatever, like just makes you feel happy. Then you give yourself that, but only, okay, well, that sounds very controlling, but like only if you get your tasks done, because otherwise it's very easy to fall into the thing, okay, I'm just going to read instead of actually doing the tasks. So make sure that you have, like, I don't know, a set limit or boundary with yourself for that. Another thing that I have found that helps quite a bit is asking somebody to check up on you. Is, you know, it's not the greatest feeling when you ask somebody to like say, okay, come in an hour and make sure I'm still doing the task till finished, and then they come and you're like watching reels. Not a great feeling. Don't do that. So that's a really way of checking, like a really good way of checking yourself. And then next we have act as you go, and be flexible in that, because again, life is very full of surprises and you don't really have control over it, sadly. So just as you go along, just be flexible, but make sure that you stay on top of everything, and then rephrase your internal dialogue. Now, this is one I found really interesting and actually helped me quite a bit. Is instead of saying I have to do something or I need to do something, say I want to do it, or I will gain something out of doing this, etc. So just change like literally one word in how you view doing a task, and it can actually take you quite a long way. And then just a few things once again to help you get started is start small. As I mentioned, it's this is where it gets a bit confusing, because for different people it's different things, right? If you start with the hardest task first, as I mentioned earlier, then it helps a lot because you get into it. But for other people it's really overwhelming and you have a lot to do. So then just start small and just ease your way into overcoming procrastination, basically. So that's a very personalized thing that you have to figure out yourself. I can't really give you a hard and fast answer on that one. Then it's make a plan and follow that plan full out, but be slightly flexible in it, because you'll figure out how to improve it and what needs to change. But keep it simple. I have spent probably hours upon hours upon hours making this great plan of how I will complete every task and everything, and probably within that time I could have gone and done every single task, but I was making a plan that I did not stick to. So don't do my mistake. Please don't do that. As we've mentioned multiple times, make sure you finish things fully, 100%, get it done. Deal with distractions, because when you procrastinate, literally anything, a butterfly can fly past your window and you will go and chase the butterfly to get away from doing the task. As much as I love chasing butterflies, do not do that when you're trying to get done a task, because you will probably never go back to that task. And then be kind to yourself, as I've mentioned. You are human after all. So just give yourself a bit of slack, but not too much, because otherwise procrastination takes hold. So, Ankit, will you give us the X culture touch?
Yeah. So previously we talked like how diverse the team will be and being from a different time zone. So be mindful of team members' time zones. Don't have a meeting at midnight of X team member, or don't set the deadline at the 3 a.m. For someone is 3 a.m., for someone is 8 p.m. So be mindful of the time zones, everyone time zones, and have a talk and set a deadline accordingly. The second is communication. It's the key to success in X culture as well as everywhere. So have a regular talk in the group, say have regular meetings, have a talk, whether it is Xculture or anything, be updated with each other. Uh, Inform each other if you can't complete assigned work in time. Don't keep it still. If you get into any kind of emergency or any problem, be open, share it with your teammates. Other teammates can work on it and complete in a specific set deadline. Motivate each other, like it can be messages, like you guys are online, so you everything will be done online, so sending an appreciation message whenever someone complete the task on time, like this will boost their confidence, will motivate them to work hard and do great. Schedule regular meetings and track progress. I will suggest to have at least one meeting a week with your teammates, at least one, so that you guys can share your update, see who is where, who have completed the tasks, who haven't, if anyone has got into the problem. You can have a talk about the Xculture, and after that, the random talks, which will help you to know yourself and your team better. Prioritize important and urgent tasks, which are very important. Keep them ahead and work on them. And after that, you can go very important to less important. And the one thing which I want to say is Xculture is a lifetime experience. So push yourself to work on tasks, motivate yourself, as it will help in your both personal and professional development. Don't step down from a challenge or task thinking it is unimportant, as this is a golden opportunity and a lifetime opportunity. So work on it, work hard, motivate yourself, and do great. That's all.
Perfect. Thank you, Ankit. Okay, so I will stop sharing my screen and now I am handing it over to everybody else. Do you have any questions either in relation to the topics we've covered or Xculture in general? Yeah, we're really open to absolutely anything you may want to ask or find out about. I see we do have a
Yeah,
in the chat. Yes, I was literally just going to say what Ankit said first. I use that quite regularly. It does help and it's really cute. It's I don't know, it's a fun way to actually keep focus because I feel like the phone and technology and social media is a really horrible distraction that like can pull attention really easily. Ava, do you have any other apps that you
yes. I was gonna say actually something. So I think that everyone needs to find its own way to get motivated to work. And for me, one way is to go on YouTube and search for like studying with me videos. And so you just like, sorry, 1 minute. Could you finish this? I'm coming in 2 seconds, sorry.
Okay. Okay. Oh, go
Add
ahead.
one thing,
Sorry, Ankit, what were you gonna
like
say?
yeah, for me to concentrate, like every time I used to give my mobile to my grandma. Like I used to tell her that don't give me mobile phone until this time, or whatever I do, whatever I beg for you, don't give me. So I used to like the my mentality used to develop like I'm not getting the mobile phone. I won't be able to watch YouTube videos or Instagram reel until I finish the task. So if you have anyone elder, you can give the mobile to them to motivate yourself or for the concentration. Yeah, right now I'm searching someone, like I'm in India and I'm searching someone to for me to do that.
Ankit, let us know when you find someone.
Yeah, I,
Yeah, no, but that's very true. And I mean, there is like a lot of difficulty in finding what works for you, but just play around with different things and you'll figure it out. Andrew, do you have a question or some wise advice to share with us?
Yeah, I have a question. I wanted to ask because we were just discussing about it today. How do we balance between the two tasks of dealing with free riders in the group and avoiding being the do-it-all of the group? And will there be penalties for like doing most of the work?
Okay, that is a really, really great question. Okay, let me figure out how's the best to answer this. I'll try and do it in 2 parts. Okay, so firstly is if there's a free ride in your team, I just want to get this clear. If there is somebody who is free riding within your team, you can give them low peer evaluations and if they get that within 2 weeks, like 2 weeks in a row, sorry, my English is leaving me, then they get kicked out of the team, basically, okay? But everyone has to kind of agree on that, and they have to get below 2 for 2 consecutive weeks, and then they're kicked out of the team. So that's their penalty per se. But that doesn't always happen within a team, and sometimes they just stay as a member and not really do anything. And then I had that situation in my team. When I was a student, there were only 2 of us actually working on the report at one stage, and it can get really overwhelming because it is a lot of work. So it's kind of a thing of splitting now the workload between who is active within the group and communication. Communication is absolute key, because if somebody has dropped out or they're free riding, it can like have a negative impact within the team, like morale basically, and everybody can start being demotivated, and there's kind of resentment because it's like, hey, I have to do your work, like that's not really fair on me, and it isn't. But that being said, it is part of life. It is things that is going to happen, not just in X culture, but everywhere, sadly. So it's a thing of learning how to deal with it and how to deal with it as a team. So the communication is really important in that, and planning ahead. Usually we pick up free riders pretty early within the semester, like they'll get into it and then suddenly they get busy or something and then they drop out. So it's not like there's few, okay, there are some cases, but it's few where it's more towards the end of the semester. So at least there's a decent amount of work done. And also it's a thing of communicating with the free rider, not that they always get back to you, but it's like, hey, why aren't you doing your work? Sometimes it could be because they're having a family crisis, or there's way too much exam and they like what way too much exam, okay, too much exam pressure, or they are applying to university, etc. And once you have that understanding, you can be like, oh, okay, I get you, I will support you, sort of thing. Then it makes it easier for everybody to work as a team. So that was a very long answer. I hope that actually answered your question. Okay, perfect.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah, and also one thing just to mention is you're kind of asking, I think, like, is there penalties per se for like somebody doing a lot of work or more work?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, so there's not penalties per se. There usually is a few people that do more work than the rest of the team, and that's perfectly okay. It's depending on people's motivation to it, how willing they want to do like great quality, etc., etc. But one thing we do suggest is when the final report is submitted, you will see on the front page, it's usually everybody's, or like everyone in the team, like their name, email, etc., and they put the workload, so you can state exactly who did what and how much. Sometimes that helps a team member sort of get like credit per se, if that makes sense. Ava and Kit, I don't know if there's anything you would like to add to that.
No, I think you covered it. You covered everything, and you're right. Like you'll never be like receive any penalty for doing too much work. This may actually lead you in the coaching team, because we are looking for people like this. So yeah, I think you covered most of it.
Okay, perfect. But thank you for that question. That's a really good one. Thank you. Does anybody else have any questions? You can raise your hand or put it in the chat. I don't know if I should be worried or happy that there's no questions. Ava, oh wait, okay, wait, there's a question. I'll ask you my question just now. Perfect, thanks, Ankit. Okay,
Actually, Ezra, I had the same idea. Like, I mentioned it to Leon, like, I think it was in June. And we don't have any for now. I don't know if we're planning to.
Well, I mean, we could always turn these Q&A sessions into a /study/work group. We could always look into that if there's people who are interested. But otherwise, yes.
But there are actually some platforms where you can study with other people. Like, you just have, I mean, it works for some people. They just turn on their cameras and they are working. And while seeing other people working, they just like force them. And since they're with the camera, they feel like, they have no other choice.
Yeah, well, maybe we can try that this semester. We can do a test run, seeing if there are a few people interested. We can maybe set something up on Telegram. Okay, well, not on Telegram, but share like a time on Telegram or something like that, or in these Q&A sessions. So we'll think about it actually. Maybe we'll chat about it afterwards and see
Yeah.
what we can come up with. But yeah, thank you for bringing that up, Ezra. Any other questions, concerns? How's everybody finding the training material for the theoretical phase? By the way, on that note, make sure that you get week 2 material done on Sunday. It's your last day to submit it, so make sure you do that. Andrew?
Yeah, I wanted to ask how the international teams are going to be assigned. Like, what if like we have a 12-hour difference in time zones and we can't really make it work?
Ava, you want to reply to this one?
Yeah, I can reply this. So you will not have to do your team by yourself. That's what happened on Telegram, so I just want to clarify this. The admin team, or I think the coordinator, like the upper part of Xculture, will make sure to create your team. It's a team composed of 7 people, yeah, and they try to do it to put like diverse people coming from all over the world, because yeah, you're right, time zone will definitely be an issue in every team, and that's the challenge for all of you. You'll have to overcome it, find solutions, alternatives, but we have been like Xculture have been running for like over 10 years now, I believe, and teams still find solution to this. So I'll promise you, time zone at some point will not be your biggest issue. And regarding the teams, usually they try to put people from all over the world, as I said, 1 people per continent, but sometimes we don't have enough students coming from like different region of the world, so you may find yourself being with people coming from the same country as you. But this doesn't happen. Well, like, where are you from, if that's not indiscreet?
Oh, me? I'm from Taiwan.
Okay, yeah, maybe you will be paired up with some other Taiwanese, because we have a school, I think. Do we have the school this
Yeah, I'm in
semester
that
as
school.
well? Yeah, okay, so there are possibility you will be with another Taiwanese students. But for the we never put like 3 Taiwanese students in the team, or 3 students from the same place, so no worries about this.
Okay, thanks.
And also, just to add on
No
the
problem.
time zone thing is literally, even though, okay, I've been in Xculture for like 4 years now, so I still struggle with time zones myself. It's not something that just magically you get used to. It's always a challenge,
You get
but you learn to
Yeah.
work with it. You figure out how to make it work, basically, and then it's fine. Then you're just like, okay, they suck that they exist, but it's fine. We deal with it.
We're just got accustomed.
Yes. In regards to Instagram, it's not allowed, if that makes sense. However, we do suggest that like you keep communication on Telegram and our groups if possible. But again, if you
لا وعيب عليك.
if you if you feel comfortable and would like to share it, go for it. But I do just want to mention, at any point, if you feel uncomfortable or somebody feels like they're harassing you, this rarely happens, but we just have to say it to cover ourselves, then please reach out to us as soon as possible so we can take action. But yes, if you would like to share your social medias, you may. But we would also prefer that you kept your communications in Telegram with the entire group. But yeah. Okay, any other questions, concerns that anybody has?
There is a question about a 75-hour challenge, but I've never heard of it.
Me neither. It sounds interesting though. Okay, let me see.
Like training, I guess, mental training, or what kind of training?
If anybody knows, would they like to explain what it is? Okay, okay. We're gonna, Ava, we have research to do.
Yeah, I mean, physical training, then most probably not for me.
Okay, well, I don't want to take up anybody's time too much. We try and keep these sessions as short as we can. But also, as I have mentioned, they are like really informal, and we want you to use them as a way of getting used to when you are having meetings with your teams. So if you can, like, always unmute yourself, put it on your camera. Petra, Andrew, thank you so much for doing that. We really do encourage it because it kind of helps a lot when you actually in your own global virtual team and you can actually have a conversation, because it's really scary the first time you're like in a bunch of strangers and you have to suddenly introduce yourself and figure out how to work on the challenge. It's not easy. It will take time to get used to. So we try and use these sessions to help you with that. Ava, do you have anything you want to share, or maybe you can?
Actually, I had something, but I should have said it before. Regarding the procrastination, in the context of X culture, I really recommend you to create, like, to build rather strong connections with your teammates, because the more you will have this connection with the others, the more you will all want to provide a good work and be like how to say, like, meet the other expectation, like not disappoint them. So this could also be a great way to fight procrastination.
Yep, that is really true. And going off of that, like within X culture, it's all a team effort. So communication, procrastination, getting over, time management, literally everything you can think of. It's a team effort. So if you all pull together, suddenly it becomes a lot easier than trying to have to deal with it by yourself. Yeah. Any other questions or anything before we end? Awesome. So what is today? My times. Today is Friday. Every Friday at 11 a.m. EST, we will have a session like this. So I definitely do encourage you to join in. And if there's any topic or I guess challenge you'd like us to specifically cover, feel free to let us know, like in Telegram or something, and then we can kind of fit it into like our schedule we already have, just to give like some idea. We have coming up like how to give effective feedback and how to receive feedback. We also Ava realized.
No, I just realized that I sent a message and it was like to Andrew specifically, and that's why I was talking about the physical training, but you didn't know that it was that. Okay, sorry about this.
No stress. We also have how to communicate effectively, a really important aspect and probably literally key to doing well in X culture, how to host effective meeting, etc. So we have a lot lined up, and we'll get this all done in the theoretical phase. So as soon as you go into the practical phase, you're all ready to go. But yeah, I hope you all have a lovely week, and tomorrow at 9 a.m. EST, so Saturday 9 a.m. EST, we will be having our first cooking class. So definitely be sure to join in if you can. Okay, cool. So I will end the meeting. Ava, do you mind staying back? But otherwise, everybody else, I hope you have a great weekend and good luck with your theoretical phase, basically, all your exams. Bye.
Bye.